Good evening. My name is Abhirami and I am a student currently studying in class 12. My passion for speaking and creating an impact in the minds of the general public is what pushed me into doing such a speech today. I thank e-contest Guru for such an opportunity. I would like to begin my speech with a quote. Strong women aren't simply born. We are forged through the challenges of life. With each challenge, we grow mentally and emotionally. We move forward with our head held high and a strength that cannot be denied. A woman who has been through a storm and survived. We are warriors. This brings me to my topic, which is about the challenges faced by women throughout their lives. We have equal rights for women as per the laws available in India. Despite that, there are still many issues that women face in their everyday life. Nowhere in history can we find instances of men and women being treated equally or given the same status. Women have traditionally fought for their right and status in society. They have repeatedly pushed for equality so that they can live lives precisely comparable to those of men. If we talk about today's scenario, many women are still facing the issues like gender discrimination, sexual abuse and harassment, education, child marriage, and whatnot. Women are elevated to the position of goddesses in India. However, the difficulties they encounter merely show the inverse of this idea. On the one hand, people worship them as goddesses, while on the other, they mistreat them mercilessly and think less of them. When it comes to gender inequality, many parents wish for a boy rather than a girl, since in their so-called mentality, boys will carry on with their generation. Even though it is against the law, they continue to determine a baby's gender. They will carry the pregnancy to term if they find a male, but they will abort if they find a girl. A generation cannot pass on without a woman. Men and women have equal responsibility for childbirth. Yet neither can fully comprehend the suffering a woman goes through during the 9 months of pregnancy. Women are still facing sexual abuse and harassment. According to the most recent government report on crimes in the country, India allowed 31,677 cases of rape in 2021, or 86 cases per day on average, while there were approximately 49 incidences of violence against women reported every single hour. Many of the women experience abuse from family members or relatives. In Ludhiana, 28-year-old woman was raped by her father-in-law. He spiked her drink and raped her. In Delhi, 22-year-old woman was gang raped and murdered in 2012. Yes, I'm talking about the Nirbhaya case. After 7 years, she got justice. Women are frequently compelled to keep quiet in these situations out of fear of society. She is made to put up with this torture, which causes her bodily and mental suffering, and eventually she tries to take her own life. Next, we're immediately drawn to the issue of women's education in India. Due to conservative traditionalism, women's standing has always been viewed as being lower in our country than that of men. If a girl comes from a poor household with a brother, her parents will send their money on his education rather than hers. Next is unequal pay. For centuries, society has undervalued the work women perform. Women are even paid less than men for the same work. According to the International Labour Organization, there has been some progress, but gender wage gaps still exist and are widening in certain jobs. Racial injustice. All women face discrimination, but women belonging to ethnic minorities face compounded inequalities. According to the expert groups like the UN, race and gender intersect in employment, housing, poverty, and more still exist. Inadequate healthcare. Healthcare access is a human right, but women face unique stigmas and discrimination. According to the World Economic Forum, there are persistent gaps in research and treatment for things affecting women, such as maternal health care. This leads to worse health outcomes for conditions that should be treatable and preventable. Women are also undervalued in the healthcare profession. Food insecurity. women face more food insecurity than men. Research from the World Food Programme identifies a few reasons why. The first is that women are more likely to live in extreme poverty. Globally, women earn just 77 cents for every dollar earned by men. Women also face unequal treatment during times of crisis and are more vulnerable to malnutrition during pregnancy. All these factors contribute to a lack of food security, which in turn negatively impacts other areas of a woman's life. Unequal political representation. Society cannot achieve gender equality unless there is equal political representation. According to a survey conducted by Plan International, women still feel consistently excluded from politics. Half of the survey participants lived in communities where they felt like it wasn't okay for girls and young women to be involved in politics. 19% said that they have been actively discouraged from getting involved. The UN estimates that it will take 130 years for the world to reach gender equality in the highest positions of power. Limited freedom of movement. Freedom of movement is an individual's right to live, travel, and move within a country or between different countries. According to Human Rights Watch, many countries in the Middle East and North Africa still have laws requiring women to get permission from a male guardian before traveling abroad or even traveling within their own countries. This violates a woman's right to travel and increases her risk for exploitation and abuse. Activists had been fighting for more rights for years, and while some progress had been made, restrictive laws remain. Let us now look into some ways to overcome these challenges. To combat these problems faced by women, everyone must work together. Every person must work to ensure that it is safe for women to be there, including the government. Criminals who harm women must face stricter penalties under the law. In order for everyone to take them seriously, they must also be well implemented. Education also needs to be emphasized strongly. For a better future, it must become mandatory for all girls and women to have an education. To defend and safeguard our women in India, we must work together. It will benefit our nation's growth and improve the world. As a result, each of us needs to be prepared to treat women equally. We must support them at every stage and go beyond that by giving them the freedom to choose for themselves. After that, these problems can be resolved, ensuring that women would no longer experience prejudice based on their gender. Thank you.